Imagine this. A man who once brushed off your presence thinking he had all the time in the world now finds himself haunted by thoughts of you at every turn. It's not just the way you smiled or the sound of your laughter. It's something far deeper, something he can't quite place. He's scrolling through his phone, replaying conversations in his mind, and every silence in his life seems to echo with your absence. The truth is, you've become unforgettable. And no matter how hard he tries, you are now the melody that plays in his mind on a loop, the thought that refuses to let go. They say, absence sharpens love, presence strengthens it. But your story isn't just about absence, it's about presence. Your presence. The power of your essence, your authenticity, your undeniable worth. This isn't about manipulation or games. It's about standing so firmly in your light that it becomes impossible to ignore. He won't think about you non-stop because of something you did to him. He'll think about you because of what you've done for yourself. This is your moment to reclaim everything, to remind yourself and the world that you are unforgettable. Relationships are a delicate dance, and often we find ourselves giving and giving, hoping that the other person sees our worth. But what happens when they don't? What happens when the very person you poured your love and energy into takes you for granted? Queens, hear me when I say this. The power to change the narrative has always been yours. You don't need to beg for attention or fight for validation. The moment you stop chasing is the moment he starts noticing. The love you seek starts with you. And when you rise into your power, when you become the best version of yourself, he won't just notice. He won't be able to stop thinking about you. Picture this. You're a lighthouse, standing tall and unwavering against the storm. For too long, he's taken your light for granted, assuming it will always be there to guide him. But lighthouses don't chase ships. They don't beg to be noticed. They simply shine. And when you embrace this truth, when you step into the fullness of your being, his world will shift. Suddenly, the light he once overlooked becomes the only thing he can think about. The strongest fires create the brightest flames, and your fire is about to burn brighter than ever. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In relationships, it's easy to feel powerless, to believe that your worth is tied to someone else's recognition. But queens, let me tell you something. Your worth was never up for debate. You are the constant, the sun that brings warmth and life, even when others fail to appreciate it. And when you begin to live with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their value, that's when the shift happens. It's not about making him regret. It's about making yourself unforgettable. Think of yourself as a garden. For so long, you've been planting seeds of love, kindness, and loyalty, hoping he would tend to them. But instead of watering the flowers, he let them wither. Now it's time to reclaim your garden, to nurture it with the love and care you've always deserved. And as you bloom, as your petals unfurl in vibrant colours, he'll see what he lost. He'll realise that no other garden can compare to the one you've built. They underestimated you. Now, prove them wrong. Not for them, but for you. He'll think about you when he's alone, in the quiet moments of his day, because your energy is irreplaceable. It's not about being vindictive or seeking revenge. It's about recognizing that your light cannot be replicated. You were never just a passing moment. You were the foundation, the one who brought depth and meaning to his life. And now, as you step back and reclaim your power, he'll feel the void you've left behind. He'll search for you in others only to find shadows. Your story isn't over, it's just beginning. Feel the pain, but don't live there. Let it carve out space for something greater. You've cried enough. It's time to conquer. The love you gave wasn't wasted. It was a reflection of your strength, your capacity to care deeply. And now, that love is coming back to you tenfold. Look in the mirror. That's your biggest ally. Your scars are proof you survived, and your resilience is what makes you shine. Stop waiting for permission to be amazing, because the time is now. Your future is watching. What will it see? This isn't about making him think about you. It's about becoming the kind of woman who is impossible to forget. A woman who doesn't settle for less, who knows her worth, who turns her pain into power. Relationships are a dance, but the most important step is knowing when to lead. You're not broken. You're rising. And as he watches you from the sidelines, trying to make sense of how he let you go, you'll realize the most important truth of all. His thoughts are his to wrestle with, but your power is yours to embrace. Queens, this is your moment. Stop waiting. The time is now. Turn your pain into your power. Rise into the woman you were always meant to be. And as he thinks about you day and night, know this. Your worth isn't tied to his recognition. It's rooted in the undeniable truth that you are extraordinary. This is your story, your rise, your reign. Let the hurt fuel your growth. Let the love you once gave him flow back into yourself. Because you are unforgettable. Queens, your journey to reclaiming your power is just beginning. Don't let it stop here. Subscribe to this channel to surround yourself with empowering lessons, unstoppable strength, and a community of women who rise together. Let's keep thriving, growing, and building the life you deserve. Your reign starts now. Number 1, create a void he can't ignore. Have you ever noticed how the loudest silence can come from the absence of someone you thought would always be there? Imagine this. The messages stop, the calls go unanswered, and the energy you once poured into him is pulled back. Suddenly, the very space you used to fill becomes a void he can't escape. Queens, this isn't about punishing anyone. It's about reclaiming your power and letting your absence do the talking. It's about stepping away so profoundly that he's left no choice but to notice just how irreplaceable you are. They say, you don't miss the water until the well runs dry, and now is your time to let him feel the drought. Relationships often become so routine that your presence is taken for granted. Like the sun rising every morning, he assumed you'd always be there, shining your light. But what happens when the sun doesn't rise? When you stop being the constant he leaned on? That's when he begins to understand what he's truly lost. This is your moment to step back, not out of spite, but out of love for yourself. You're not here to beg for attention or force someone to see your worth. You're here to live so boldly, so unapologetically, that your absence becomes the loudest presence in his life. Think of a masterpiece hanging in a gallery. For years it's admired, but its true value is never fully appreciated until it's gone. Once removed, the empty space on the wall becomes unbearable, and every visitor feels its loss. You, my dear, are that masterpiece. You've poured your love, time, and energy into a connection, and now it's time to step back and let him see what life looks like without your light. You don't need to fight for his attention. Your absence will be enough to show him what he's lost. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the colour of its thoughts." When you choose to prioritize yourself, to pull back your energy and focus on your own growth, you're dyeing your soul with the vibrant colours of resilience, strength, and grace. Your silence, your distance, becomes a reflection of the self-respect you've reclaimed. It's not about withholding love. It's about redirecting it to the person who needs it most. You. And as you rise into your power, his thoughts will be consumed by the void you've left behind. Picture this. A musician plays the same melody every day, so often that he stops hearing the beauty in it. But when the music stops, the silence fills the air, and the absence of the melody becomes deafening. He'll search for that tune, replaying it in his mind, longing for the harmony he once took for granted. You, queens, are the melody he won't be able to stop thinking about. By stepping back, you're giving him the chance to truly hear what he's lost. This isn't about revenge, it's about respect. Respect for yourself and the love you offer. You're not broken. You're rebuilding. You're not waiting. You're rising. Let him feel the weight of the empty space you leave behind, and let that space remind you of your power. He thought you'd always be there, but now he'll see that your love was a privilege, not a guarantee. Every moment he spends thinking about you will be a testament to the value you've always had, the value you're finally claiming for yourself. Queens, remember this. The most powerful presence is often felt in its absence. This is your moment to shine by stepping back, to become unforgettable by standing still. Let your absence be the quiet storm that turns his world upside down. And as you rise, remind yourself of this truth. I am the void he'll never fill. Write this affirmation in the comments to claim your power and share your strength with others. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're working tirelessly to create life-changing lessons that remind you of your worth and help you build the life you deserve. Together we rise, Queens. This is just the beginning. Number 2, be his quiet obsession. Imagine this. You've stopped chasing, stopped pleading for attention, and now he finds himself glancing at his phone, replaying your words, wondering why your energy still lingers in the quiet moments of his day. You've become the thought he can't shake, the puzzle he can't solve, the quiet obsession that infiltrates his mind. It's not manipulation, it's magnetism. When you step fully into your power, you don't just demand attention, you command it. You don't have to do anything extraordinary except become so wholly yourself that he's left wondering how he ever looked past you. They say, be so complete, so full of your own light, that others gravitate to you without even understanding why. This isn't about playing games or crafting illusions. It's about becoming so aligned with your worth and your purpose that your presence becomes unforgettable. When you embrace the strength of your individuality, you don't need to chase him. Instead, you become the force that draws him in. Think of the moon and the tides. The moon doesn't call out to the ocean. It simply exists in its quiet, undeniable pull, and the waves rise to meet it. That's the kind of energy you're stepping into, the energy that makes him think about you non-stop. He'll feel your presence in the spaces you leave behind, not because you've demanded his attention, but because your essence has become the rhythm of his thoughts. You're not chasing him. You're simply being yourself so powerfully that he can't help but take notice. In relationships, we often give so much of ourselves, hoping to be seen, validated, or appreciated. But the truth is, your worth doesn't hinge on someone else's recognition. The most magnetic thing you can do is to stop waiting for someone to define your value and instead define it for yourself. When you live authentically, pursuing your dreams, nurturing your passions, and embracing your confidence, you become irresistible. He won't be able to stop thinking about you, not because you've sought his approval, but because your self-assuredness is unforgettable. Imagine yourself as a rare book, full of wisdom, intrigue, and beauty. He might flip through countless pages in search of something similar, but the depth and richness of your story can't be replicated. Every time he encounters something familiar, a laugh, a gesture, a moment, it will remind him of you, and he'll find himself comparing everything else to the irreplaceable experience of knowing you. Your uniqueness is your superpower, and once you own it, it becomes impossible for him to ignore. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. When you shift your focus from seeking external validation to nurturing your inner world, you ignite a transformation. You become radiant, and that radiance is magnetic. He will think about you, not because you've made him, but because your light will stand out in a world full of shadows. The more you pour love into yourself, the more undeniable your presence becomes. The irony is, the less you try to be unforgettable, the more unforgettable you become. Now picture this. He's sitting alone, perhaps surrounded by noise, yet his mind drifts back to you. The way you moved through life with grace, the way your laughter lit up a room, the way your silence spoke volumes. You've created a space in his mind that no one else can fill. You're not doing this to prove a point. You're doing it because this is your time to rise, to step into the full glory of who you are. You're becoming the woman who doesn't just survive heartbreak, but transforms it into the foundation of her greatest self. You're not broken. You're rebuilding. Every step forward is a step toward the life you deserve. You don't need him to feel whole because you've discovered the strength that was within you all along. And as he wrestles with thoughts of you, trying to understand how you became the one thing he can't forget, you'll realize the truth. His thoughts are not your responsibility, but your power is entirely your own. So here's your affirmation. I am unforgettable because I am authentically me. Write it in the comments, say it out loud, and let it guide you forward. Remember, Queens, your power lies in the love you give to yourself. If this message resonated with you, like the video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. We're dedicated to creating lessons that remind you of your worth and help you build a life that no one can ignore. This is your time. Your story isn't over. It's just beginning. Let's rise together. Number 3, turn the tables with grace. Imagine this. The person who once took your love for granted is now watching, wondering, and regretting. Not because you lashed out or begged for recognition, but because you gracefully turned the tables. There's no drama, no revenge, just the quiet, powerful shift of your energy away from what no longer served you. They underestimated you, thinking you'd always be there, but now they see the truth. Your strength lies in your ability to rise without looking back. You didn't need to fight for their attention. You became impossible to ignore. They say, strength is not in how you retaliate, but in how you rise above. And that's exactly what you're doing. Turning the tables with grace doesn't mean you're playing games. It means you've chosen yourself. You've decided to pour the love you once gave so freely into someone who truly deserves it. You. In relationships, the most powerful move isn't chasing or convincing. It's stepping back and letting your absence speak louder than any words. When you shift your focus, you're not losing, you're leading. Think of a mirror. It reflects what stands before it. But when you step away, the image disappears. That's what your energy does in a relationship. When you pull it back, the person who once depended on your reflection is left staring at emptiness, realizing they've lost something invaluable. Your grace isn't in tearing them down. It's in showing them what they've lost by building yourself up. And the beauty of this is that it's not about them at all. It's about reclaiming your light and shining brighter than ever. Relationships often feel like a delicate balance, a dance of giving and receiving. But what happens when you're the only one giving, the only one moving? It's like a symphony where only one instrument plays. The music feels hollow, incomplete. Turning the tables with grace means you stop playing their tune and start creating your own symphony. It's a melody so beautiful, so full of your own passions and dreams, that it draws attention without effort. They'll think about you not because you demanded it, but because your energy lingers like a hauntingly beautiful song they can't forget. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one." In relationships, this wisdom rings true. Stop debating your worth or justifying your actions. Just be. Be the person who loves fiercely, who dreams boldly, and who doesn't settle for half measures. When you embody this truth, you become unforgettable. Grace isn't about proving someone wrong. It's about living so authentically that they realize they were wrong to take you for granted. Picture yourself as a tree. You've stood tall, weathered storms, and provided shade to those who needed it. But when someone tries to uproot you or take you for granted, you don't wither. You simply grow deeper roots and reach for the sky. Turning the tables with grace means you stop bending for those who don't appreciate your strength. Instead, you grow, flourish, and become a force of nature they can't ignore. They'll see the tree they once leaned on thriving without them, and it will be impossible for them to forget. As you walk this path, remember, this isn't about revenge or proving a point. It's about rediscovering the person you were always meant to be. They walked away. Good. That just means you have more space to build a life so rich, so full, that their absence feels like a blessing. You've cried enough. It's time to conquer. Your scars aren't signs of weakness, they're badges of honor, proof that you've survived and thrived. Every time you take a step forward, you're turning the tables, not with anger, but with grace. This is your moment to rise. Look in the mirror and see the ally who will never let you down. Let the hurt fuel your growth and the love you once gave flow back into yourself. Stop waiting for permission to be amazing. You already are. Your story isn't over. It's just beginning. Every step you take toward becoming the best version of yourself will echo in their mind, reminding them of what they lost. They'll think about you non-stop, not because you forced it, but because your transformation is undeniable. Say this with me. My grace is my power. Write it in the comments below and let it become your mantra. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel because we're working tirelessly to bring you life-changing lessons that remind you of your worth. This is your time. Stop waiting. The tables are turning and this time you're in control. Number 4, become his beautiful what if. Imagine this. He's sitting alone, staring out the window, and for the first time he feels it. The emptiness, the loss, the aching question that keeps circling in his mind. What if? He didn't see it before. He thought he had time. But now, you're not just a memory. You're a possibility that haunts him. You've become the beautiful what if he can't escape, the moment in his life he wishes he could rewrite. Not because you tried to prove your worth to him, but because you chose to show it to yourself. They say, the heart will always chase the things it regrets losing, and this is where your power lies, not in trying to make him regret, but in becoming the woman who is unforgettable. To be his what if isn't about manipulation or games. It's about becoming so vibrant, so magnetic, that he can't help but replay the idea of you over and over again. This is your moment to reclaim everything, to rise so boldly that he's left staring at the gap in his life you once filled. Think of yourself as a rare and exquisite painting, one that he walked past without stopping, assuming he could always return. But now, that painting has been moved to a gallery far out of reach, admired by those who see its beauty for what it truly is. He didn't take the time to appreciate the masterpiece in front of him, and now, every face he looks at feels like a forgery. You're not replaceable, and the more you step into your authenticity, the more that truth will echo in his heart. Relationships have a way of revealing who we are, and when someone takes us for granted, it's easy to feel like we weren't enough, but hear this. You were always enough, they just weren't capable of recognizing it. And now that you've taken a step back, your absence will speak volumes. You're not the woman who begs for love or chases what doesn't serve her. You're the woman who knows her value and shines so brightly that no one can look away. He'll think of you in the quiet moments, in the spaces between his distractions, because you were never just another chapter. You were the whole story. Imagine him now, standing at a crossroads in his mind, replaying memories of you. The way you laughed, the way you made him feel seen, the way your presence filled the room with light. And as he pieces together those moments, he'll feel it. The weight of what if? What if he had tried harder? What if he had listened more, loved more, appreciated you more? These questions will follow him because the kind of connection you offered doesn't come around twice. You were his oasis in a desert he didn't even realize he was wandering through. And now, without you, the thirst for what he lost will linger. The most beautiful part of becoming his what if is that it's not about him, it's about you. It's about stepping into the woman you were always meant to be, the woman who doesn't wait for permission to thrive. Your power lies in your ability to build a life so full, so rich, that it no longer revolves around his approval. He'll see it in your smile, in your laughter, in the way you carry yourself like a queen who rules her own kingdom. And in that moment, his regret will be as undeniable as your radiance. But here's the truth, queens. His regret isn't your goal. It's just the byproduct of your transformation. You don't need him to realize your worth. You need you to realize it. When you do, you become unstoppable, a force he'll never forget. Every choice you make from this moment forward isn't about him. It's about you. You're the architect of your own happiness, the flame that refuses to be extinguished. And as he watches from the sidelines, wondering how he let someone like you slip away, you'll know that you've risen beyond the need for his validation. Let this be your moment to rise, not for him, but for yourself. Look in the mirror and see the woman who survived, who thrived, who turned every setback into a stepping stone. You don't need him to think about you. You've already become unforgettable. Your light shines in ways that no darkness can overshadow. He'll feel it, he'll see it. And every time he does, the question will whisper in his mind. What if? Say this with me. I am unforgettable, and my worth is undeniable. Write it in the comments as your affirmation, as your declaration of power. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're here to create life-changing lessons that remind you of your strength, your resilience, and your ability to thrive. This is your time, queens. Stop waiting. The world is waiting to see you rise. Number 5, speak without saying a word. They say silence speaks louder than words, but have you ever considered that silence can also make someone think about you non-stop? Imagine this. He's sitting in the stillness of his day, reaching for his phone, expecting your name to light up the screen. But it doesn't. He waits, telling himself you'll reach out like you always do. But the silence stretches, becoming heavier, more deafening. That's when it hits him. Your silence isn't just the absence of words. It's the presence of a decision. A decision to let your worth speak louder than explanations, louder than apologies, louder than the noise of desperation. And in that silence, you become unforgettable. The quieter you become, the more you are able to hear, said Rumi. And in relationships, this truth is profound. Silence isn't emptiness. It's a powerful echo that forces someone to sit with their own thoughts, their own regrets, and their own realizations. When you stop chasing, when you stop filling the void with words, you create space for reflection. That space becomes the stage where they see your value more clearly than ever before. You're not fading away. You're stepping back to let your presence be truly felt. And trust me, he will feel it. Deeply. Picture this. Your words were like a gentle rain, nourishing his ego, easing his insecurities, and soothing his fears. He didn't notice it at the time, but he had grown dependent on that rain, on the constancy of your care. Now, as the rain ceases, he's left in a drought, the parched ground of his life a stark reminder of everything you brought into it. Your silence isn't meant to hurt. It's a mirror reflecting what he's taken for granted. And in that reflection, he won't just think about you. He'll long for the presence he once dismissed so easily. Relationships thrive on effort. But too often, we give more than we receive, hoping to be seen, to be valued. But what if I told you that pulling back isn't an act of defeat, but a declaration of self-worth? Your silence is not about shutting someone out. It's about tuning into yourself. It's about choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and self-respect over endless explanations. They say, silence is the ultimate weapon of power, and in this moment, your silence becomes your loudest statement. You're not abandoning the relationship. You're giving it the space to see what it truly stands on. Think of a blazing fire. For so long, you've been the one feeding it, tending to it, ensuring it never goes out. But fires need balance. They need air to breathe. And sometimes, stepping back is the only way to see if the fire can sustain itself. When you withdraw your energy, you're not letting the fire die. You're giving it the chance to prove its strength. If it falters, that's not your failure. That's clarity. And if it burns brighter in your absence, it's proof that your silence held more power than any words ever could. He will think about you in the quiet moments, not because you shouted for his attention, but because you didn't. Your silence becomes the question he can't answer, the song stuck in his head, the memory that lingers long after the moment has passed. He'll replay your laughter, your kindness, your unwavering support, and wonder how he managed to let something so rare slip through his fingers. And as he sits with the weight of that realization, you'll be rising, building, thriving, untethered by the need for his validation. This is your moment. You've spent enough time filling the silences with your words, your explanations, your efforts to be understood. Now, let the silence do the work. Let it echo with your worth, your strength, your decision to no longer settle for being an afterthought. They say, when you stop talking, they start listening. And as he listens to the void you've left, he'll begin to understand the depth of what he's lost. You're not broken. You're transforming. You're not retreating. You're recalibrating. Your silence isn't a void. It's a presence so profound it demands to be noticed. Look in the mirror and remind yourself of this. Your worth was never dependent on his recognition. You've cried enough. It's time to rise. The love you've been searching for starts with you, and in embracing that truth, you become magnetic. Repeat this affirmation. My silence is my power. Write it in the comments. Let it echo in your heart, and let it remind you that your value isn't tied to anyone else's acknowledgement. If this resonated with you, like this video and subscribe to our channel. We're here to create lessons that remind you of your strength and help you build a life so extraordinary, it leaves no room for doubt. This is your story. Make it unforgettable. Number 6, be the flame that ignites his memory. Have you ever wondered why some memories refuse to fade, like a flicker of flame that lingers even after the fire seems to have gone out? That's the power you hold, the ability to become the fire in his mind, the warmth he can't forget, the light he searches for in the shadows of his thoughts. You're not just someone he knew. You're the spark that ignited something deep within him, the kind of spark that no matter how much time passes, leaves an indelible mark. They say some fires burn too brightly to ever be extinguished. And queens, that's exactly what you are. A flame that isn't just seen, but felt. A love that lingers in the corners of his heart. A memory that resurfaces in the quiet moments, unbidden yet unforgettable. This isn't about playing games or forcing your way into his thoughts. It's about embodying the kind of light, passion, and energy that naturally draws his mind back to you, over and over again. Think of a candle in a dark room. The moment it's lit, it transforms everything around it, casting shadows that dance and creating a warmth that soothes. You were that candle in his life. Your laughter was the glow, your care the warmth, and your presence the steady flame. He might have taken it for granted, thinking that light would always be there. But now, as he stumbles through the darkness, he realizes what he lost. A light no one else can replicate. You were never just a fleeting spark. You were his guiding fire. In relationships, it's easy to feel like you have to shrink yourself, to dim your light to make someone else comfortable. But the truth is, your brilliance is what makes you unforgettable. When you embrace your own fire, your passions, your strength, your authenticity, you create a force he can't ignore. The strongest fires don't just burn, they transform everything they touch. That's what you are, Queen, a transformative presence. And no matter where he goes, he'll always feel the echo of the warmth you gave. Imagine this. He's scrolling through his phone late at night, pausing on a photo of you. He remembers the way your eyes lit up when you laughed, the way your words could calm a storm in his mind. It's not just nostalgia. It's the realization that what you brought into his life wasn't ordinary. It was rare, irreplaceable, and deeply felt. While others might offer flickers, you were the roaring fire. And now he's left feeling the cold void of your absence. Your love wasn't a mistake, it was a gift. And like the fire that warms but doesn't chase, you don't need to run after him to prove your worth. You don't need to beg for his attention. Queens, the fire you've cultivated within yourself is enough. When you stop pouring your energy into someone who doesn't appreciate it and instead focus on fueling your own passions and dreams, you become magnetic. He'll feel that shift. He'll think of you, not because you're trying to make him, but because he won't be able to help himself. This is your moment to reclaim everything, to rise from the ashes of what was and shine brighter than ever. You're not just surviving, you're blazing a trail, leaving sparks in your wake. They may have walked away, but you're still standing and your fire is far from out. Look in the mirror, Queen. That's your biggest ally, your fiercest supporter, the one who's been there through it all. Your scars are proof you survived, and your strength is proof you're thriving. Let him remember the way you lit up his world, but don't let that memory hold you back. His regret isn't your responsibility, and his thoughts aren't your prison. Your power lies in the life you're building now, a life so full, so vibrant that it casts its own light. Turn your pain into fuel. Every moment you doubted yourself, every tear you shed was preparing you for this firestorm of strength and grace. Say this with me. I am the fire he'll never forget. Write it in the comments to claim your power, to declare your worth, and to affirm your unstoppable rise. Queens, this is your story, your journey, your moment to shine. Like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're ready to embrace your light and become the unforgettable force you were always meant to be. We're working hard to bring you lessons that transform, inspire, and remind you of your incredible power. Together, we rise. Number 7, make him see the diamond he overlooked. Have you ever noticed how some people don't realize the true worth of a diamond until it's no longer in their hands? It's as if they've been holding something priceless but never truly saw it for what it was until they've lost it. You, my dear, are that diamond. Radiant, rare, unforgettable. And if he couldn't see your brilliance before, it's only because he wasn't ready to recognize something as extraordinary as you. But now, as you rise into your power and embrace the glow of your own self-worth, you'll make him see the diamond he overlooked. Not through words, not through begging for attention, but by shining so brightly that his regret becomes inevitable. Relationships often have a way of making us doubt our value, especially when someone we love fails to cherish us. But let me remind you of this. Your worth isn't diminished because someone else couldn't recognize it. Diamonds don't lose their value when someone walks away. They remain what they are, waiting for the right person who knows their true worth. And you are no different. This is your moment to polish your shine, to reclaim your light and to show the world and yourself that you were never ordinary. Think of a diamond in a jeweler's shop. Some people glance at it, dazzled for a moment, but walk away without understanding its true rarity. Others stare, captivated, but fail to take action. But then there's the one who sees it, who feels its value in their soul and knows they can't let it go. That's how love works. The wrong person will always see you as replaceable, but the right one will see you as irreplaceable. And when you stop chasing those who undervalue you, you'll find that your glow becomes impossible to ignore. You are not broken. You are a masterpiece in progress. When someone walks away from you, it's not a sign of your failure. It's their inability to see the value in front of them. Stop seeking validation from those who can't comprehend your brilliance. Instead, focus on yourself. Build your dreams. Embrace your passions. Become so consumed with your own growth and happiness that his thoughts can't help but circle back to you. This is your time to rise, not as someone waiting to be chosen, but as someone who knows they are the prize. Imagine a diamond left unpolished, its brilliance dulled by neglect. But then, with care and intention, it begins to shine again, catching the light in ways that can't be ignored. That's you. Every moment you invest in yourself, every boundary you set, every time you refuse to settle, you're polishing your brilliance. And as your light grows brighter, so does his realization of what he let slip away. The strongest fires create the brightest flames, and your transformation will burn a lasting image in his memory. He'll think about you, not because you told him to, but because he won't be able to help himself. The love and loyalty you gave weren't just fleeting gestures, they were pieces of your soul. And now, as he looks for that same warmth elsewhere, he'll find only cold imitations. Your story isn't over, it's just beginning. The very setbacks you've faced have become the foundation of your strength, and now is the time to build without limits. Stop waiting for someone to see your value. Be so undeniable that they have no choice but to notice. Queens, remember this: you don't need him or anyone else to define your worth. Look in the mirror. That's your biggest ally, the person who will never let you down. Every scar you carry is proof that you survived, and every step you take forward is a testament to your resilience. This is your moment to rise, to thrive, and to become the woman you were always meant to be. You're not chasing him anymore. You're chasing your own greatness. And when you do, his thoughts will follow you day and night because you're unforgettable. Write this affirmation in the comments: I am the diamond he'll never replace. Say it out loud and let it resonate within you. Let it remind you of your power and your value. And if this message touched your heart, like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're working hard to bring you life-changing lessons that remind you of your worth and help you rise into your power. Your future is waiting. What will it see? It's time to shine. It's time to thrive. It's time to claim the life you deserve.